All right, welcome. This is Miss Beard discussing the Middle East for multicultural foods. All right, the Middle East is really known as the birthplace of civilization for a lot of different reasons. As you can see in the slide before, it's a large horseshoe that surrounds from the eastern edge of the Mediterranean Sea all the way up through North Africa. And the main reason it's known as the birthplace of civilization is because many original empires flourished in this area because of the fertile land. The three main religions of the world were also developed in this area, including Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, which are the three major religions of the world today. The boundaries of this area are very highly debated, and you hear it in the news often because of the disagreements among not only country borders, but political ideologies and religion as well. The countries that are included in the Middle East include Iran, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia. The geography and climate of the Middle East includes mountains, high plateaus, and deserts. It's known to be a very arid and barren land where crops don't grow very well at all. Very hot, very unbearable temperatures. There are, however, fertile oases, which are fertile ponds or areas of water scattered throughout the region, and the three major rivers are the Nile, the Tigris, and the Euphrates rivers. You probably remember those from world history, where you discover that those were where some of the first civilizations took off. The coastal climates around the water are subtropical, and like I already said, the desert areas are hot, 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 typically staying around 100 degrees. Some of the ancient empires of the Middle East include the Persian Empire, the Byzantine Empire, the Arab Empire, and the Ottoman Empire. As far as agriculture goes, there's lots of different animals that really graze well in these arid regions, including sheep, goats, and camels. And these animals not only supply meat, but they also supply milk and hides to the people of these lands. Camels are also serve as pack animals, and they transport cargo from one place to another, kind of like a horse in the Midwest. Some of the crops of this region include wheat, barley, corn, citrus fruits, olives, bananas, figs, rice, grapes, and sugar beets. As far as religion in the Middle East goes, we're going to talk a lot about the three major religions of the world. And Islam is very well known in the Middle East as being based on the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad. And all of these three religions have a central base that believe in a central God of some kind. And the differences really lie in the teachings and their special books. People who follow Islam are called Muslims, and they believe in the Quran, which is a book of sacred writings that outlines Muslim beliefs and behaviors written by Muhammad. The Quran dictates kind of a standard of living, including that Muslims don't eat animals that have died from disease, were strangled, or beaten. They don't eat swine, which is known as pork, and they do not drink alcoholic beverages. And you're going to be doing a project on the three major religions, and you're going to discover more through your own research. Here is a picture of one of the places. They have to take Muslims take what's called a pilgrimage, and they have to take at least one in their lifetime. And I don't know a lot about the details, but this is a picture of them praying in one of the places where they are taking a pilgrimage. This is a symbol from the Islam language called halal, and halal is a symbol where foods that are considered lawful according to Islamic religion. So if a food has this symbol on it, it means that it has been approved for consumption by Muslims. Haram is any food that is forbidden and therefore not allowed. There are several holidays that they celebrate in the Middle East, including Muharram, which is the first month of the year. More popularly, Ramadan is a fast that lasts for the entire month in September, and during that month, Muslims do not eat or drink during the day. Instead, they fast during the night after sunset, and this is done for a couple of reasons. One is to kind of cleanse the soul and refocus on religion. Adifr is the last day of the fast, and they have a huge celebration where they eat all kinds of different foods. And Milad an-Nibab is Muhammad's birthday celebration, and it's a large festival that includes parades and the sharing of food. Some of the main ingredients in Middle Eastern cuisine are very similar to what you've seen in Mediterranean Europe, and they include garlic, lemon, green pepper, eggplant, and tomatoes. Olive oil is the main fat that is used, and spices are used very liberally, very similar to what you've seen in foods in Mediterranean Europe as well. In the Middle East, lamb is the main meat, which is something different that we haven't seen yet. And shish kebabs are chunks of lambs that are threaded onto skewers along with different vegetables or other combinations of food, and they're kind of grilled and eaten on the skewer. Dolmas is a mixture of ground meat and seasonings wrapped in a grape leaf and stuffed onto a vegetable. Yogurt is also something that came from the Middle East, and although I say yogurt and you probably think of an American style of yogurt that's flavored lime or lemon or some type of banana cream pie, yogurt in the Middle East is very different, and it actually has more of a tangy flavor, savory, and goes with a lot of other things. It's often eaten as a side dish with a lot of foods and used as a base for cakes and soups, so it's a main part of their cooking as well. Here's a picture of a shish kebab with onions and tomatoes and a variety of spices. And again, the meat that is put onto a shish kebab is lamb. Some different types of grains and legumes in the Middle East include wheat, beans, rice, lentils, and chickpeas. Chickpeas are what is commonly used to make hummus, if you've ever heard of hummus. And bread is served at almost every meal. One of the more popular grain projects is called bulgur, and it's made from whole wheat that's been cooked, dried, and partially debranded and cracked. And it's often added to soups, stews, stuffings, and salads. So it's kind of like our version of wheat. And falafel is a deep-fried mixture of bulgur, ground chickpeas, and spices, and is often eaten as a street food in the Middle East. And that is a picture of falafel. Some different Middle Eastern desserts and coffee include kebab, kebab is a Turkish coffee pot that they use to make Turkish coffee. They like their rich desserts and sweets, and their coffee rarely contains sugar. If you've ever had Turkish coffee, you realize that it's a lot darker and has a much stronger coffee flavor than coffee that's brewed here in the United States. Turkey is not actually part of the Middle East, but we're going to talk about it with this unit because it's part of the Middle Eastern countries. There's a heavy influence of Middle Eastern food in Turkey because of the geography. And doner kebab is a cone made with thin pieces of lamb. And kasik is slices of cucumber and a yogurt sauce flavored in mint. So those are some Turkish foods that you need to know. And that is a doner kebab. Some other Turkish foods include halva, which is a candy-like sweet made from farnia or sugar, kürbey, which is a rich butter cookie, baklava, which we talked about with Greece. And the interesting thing about baklava is that it's claimed by a lot of different countries as a dessert. Turkey and the Middle East claim it. Greece claims that where it really comes from is kind of a mystery. From my research, I found that it's more of a Middle Eastern food and kind of spread to Greece later on. So we're going to be studying baklava as part of the Middle East. The last last food from Turkey here is rat lukam, which is a Turkish delight, which is a sweet made from jelly coated with powdered sugar. Some of the other foods of the Arab states include Lebanon, Iraq, Jordan, Syria, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt. This area was once called the Fertile Crescent, where people first learned to grow crops. And some of the foods that you should know about are called maza, which are appetizers. Iraq is an anise-flavored liquor served with matzah. Tabbouleh is a salad made with chopped onions, tomatoes, radishes, and parsleys. And shrak is a flatbread used to eat the tabbouleh. The people of the Arab states enjoy both camel and lamb, but they don't eat much pork. Pork and swine are considered kind of forbidden foods because it's against the Muslim and Jewish religions. Kabay is a popular Arab lamb dish made with ground lamb, pine nuts, rice, and vegetables. Hummus is something you've probably heard of before, and it's a mixture of chickpeas and sesame paste. Torshi is a mixture of pickled turnips, onions, peppers, eggplants, cucumbers, and beets, and it's very similar to relish in the United States. And the picture that you see on the bottom of your screen is called saffron, and that's the spice that we talked about in conjunction with Spain. Saffron gives food a bright gold color, and it looks kind of red in that picture, and it just kind of depends on where you get your saffron. Saffron is one of the most expensive spices that you can buy. The Bedouinians are a nomadic group of Arabs, and the chief of the Bedouinians eats on the rug-covered floor. And these are just some things you should know about their culture. They serve trays of different types of food, and they only eat with their right hand. So that's something that's interesting that you should know about the culture of some groups of Arab peoples. Some Iranian foods, the Persians, which were the predecessors of the current Iranians, laid the foundation for a lot of the cooking methods used in Iran today. In fact, a lot of scholars believe that wine, cheese, sherbet, and ice cream were first made in Persia. And those are really interesting inventions that we definitely need to give credit to the Persians for. They serve a lot of different types of rice dishes, which you can see there. And there's a picture of a rice kind of with an egg in the middle. And their cooking methods are very simple. A lot of grilling, a lot of sautéing, a lot of broiling, but they lead to very flavorful dishes. A kilo kebab is thick slices of lamb, again, broiled, a very popular cooking method, accompanied with all kinds of different things, and it's Iran's national dish. Something you've also probably heard of before is caviar, and that is processed eggs of a large fish. In fact, 95% of the world's caviar comes from the Caspian Sea, which is in the Middle East. And in Iran, they're not very big on desserts. They would rather eat fruit instead, which leads to a very healthy diet. That is it. Please fill in your listening guide and take the quiz next. Thank you.